Hi, I'm Commissioner Nancy Jester, and welcome to Nancy Jester Reports for Tuesday, June 11th, 2019. Today we had your Board of Commissioners meeting. I didn't do an update last week, so I'm going to go back and catch you up. Last week we had our meeting on June 4th. We have Committee of the Whole, where we set our agenda. Let's see, of note, we went through several things. One important thing to note is we're looking at doing a blight survey to record and prioritize for code enforcement. We didn't pass that this week, but we talked about it last week. We've deferred it, but I anticipate that we'll pass that in some form coming up. So, we're doing a lot of good work on blight, passing blight resolutions with goals and objectives for the year to deal with our blight issues, from removing properties to, the investments we're making. So I do feel like that the Board of Commissioners and the administration has for at least the last 2 to 3 years been very committed to dealing with this issue and improving the community. Again, back on the 4th, let me see what we looked at. We had a number of grants we were looking at. We've asked for a summary of all the federal grants we've been getting. We've been going through quite a few grants that come to our judicial system and also our police system. Let's see. So that was the main issue of what we talked about in our Committee of the Whole at our last meeting. We had Public Works meeting, and we had our Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee meeting last week. So let me go through that. We had, let's see, a few items that we were reviewing on Public Works. Some things we had been holding up because they are large procurements, and we had not had a chance to have them audited. So we've done that, and we brought them back this week. So I'll talk about those in this week's agenda. We've been able to save quite a bit of money with our audits over the last few months when we have these large procurements. You will recall that in the Hartman report, which was done by our Office of Internal Independent Auditor, that report said any procurement over $1 million should have its own audit review. And we have not codified that. The CEO administration have not adopted that as a policy, and they do control the procurement department and bringing those procurement agenda items forward to the board. But the board has successfully had our independent auditor look at those procurements on many occasions when they're over $1 million and there have been questions. So we've been able to save significant amounts of money on just a handful of procurements that have been over $1 million. So I think we're up to almost $2 million now, where we've had the audit department go through and look to see if everything if the processes have been followed properly, if the numbers are adding up, if there's a better way. And we've come up with improvements, and that's saved, like I said, around $2 million so far in a handful of procurements that have been over $1 million. So keep in mind, recently I voted no on a particular procurement. That was for ambulances for DeKalb. I don't doubt that we need to procure some more, but that particular procurement went through the Public Safety Committee, and they did not engage our internal audit staff to review that procurement. So I'd still, and as I've told you before, I'm keeping with my my principle of not voting in favor of any procurement that is over $1 million that has not gone through our independent internal auditor's review. So that was what the Hartman report recommended. Again, the administration, the CEO have not incorporated that into their processes. Wherever I can in the committees that I'm on, wherever I can do that, I'm getting and requesting those audits so that I can vote affirmatively for some of these procurements. But if we're not doing that, I vote no if it's over $1 million, because I think the taxpayers of DeKalb County certainly deserve that protection. I will note that they are doing that in the city of Atlanta, and I'm sure that it's paying dividends for them. And where we've done it here, we are saving money. And so I want to see that codified. I want to see that part of the process so that anything over $1 million, we know that you are being protected as a taxpayer. So on to some other things that that we've done today. We had a fair amount of public comment today about a potential land swap down in the Entrenchman Creek area in South DeKalb where Black Hall Studios is. We've had a number of public engagement sessions recently, and we had very positive comments today from the neighbors that surround that area. So I think it was almost universally in favor of the county moving forward with this particular land swap. Blackhall Studios is one of the largest studios in Georgia, and has is equivalent to some of the spaces they have in California, and wants to expand their footprint into Cobb County. And this will be great economic development for that area and for the whole county and for the state, as well as it's going to just create jobs and bring value to an area that I think needs and deserves that. So that will be terrific if we move forward with that. Let's see, so on our agenda today, we approved a procedural change to our standing rules. It was perfunctory. It actually, I think, changes the order of public comment on things, so it's more convenient for the public, so we did that. We also had a first read approval of a change to the pension ordinance that had a cost of living increase for retirees, as well as approved a blend change in equities and the debt instruments. So that had a first read. It will come back to us again. We had some traffic calming petitions that we began and we approved. Some zoning issues, not any in District 1. We had some appointments, so I've appointed Lane Flynn to the Charter Review Commission, and we approved that today. So he will be on the Charter Review Commission that should be heating up sometime this summer to review DeKalb's Organizational Act and our charter. Let's see, we received some grant monies that we went through. I'm trying to think if there's anything interesting. We had some procurements deferred. And toward the end of the meeting, we had 2 larger procurements for Public Works. One was a cooperative agreement that we've saved money on. So we originally were asked to approve an $8.2 million procurement. We ended up approving a $7.9 million procurement. This is for sewer pipe rehabilitation. So again, through the great work of the auditor, we saved money there, and I was able to vote affirmatively for this. We had a $3.4 million procurement for some stormwater projects. I voted no for this because I didn't have all the information I needed from the auditor on this one. So I could not support this because we just didn't really have the full information that the auditor needed to be able to comfortably make a positive indication on this particular procurement. So I voted against that. Hopefully we'll start incorporating the auditor on the front side. It sure would save time. So we'll see how that works out in the future. So that is the update on the last couple of weeks, and stay tuned for further updates. I will say we'll be working on the budget coming up pretty soon and setting the millage rate. I noticed also that the Board of Education had their first vote on their budget yesterday, and they tentatively have a millage rate that is unchanged but is resulting in over a 6% tax increase that they're having to notice to the public because the revenue is greater than the rollback rate. So, and keep in mind, your school taxes are taxed on your whole assessment less your homestead, but they're not subject to the freeze. So when your property value goes up, your school taxes can go significantly up. You have the assessment freeze here in the county and most of the cities for the calculation of your tax, so that somewhat mitigates any of the inflationary pressures properties have. But if you have any questions about taxes, give us a buzz or anything else, and join us next time for another edition of Nancy Jester Reports. Thank you.